Zoro! You found your way back home! Oh, I never gave up hope. Every night I lied awake, knowing that someday you'd find your way back here. I had to replace your picture with not one but two Nico Robins, and that was a very difficult decision on my part to make. Nevertheless, I made it. But hey, Zoro, you're back, man, and that's pretty cool too. Man, you missed it last week. You did some really cool stuff last week, right? Well, at any rate, this is going to be chapter 1010. Wow, 1010. The chapter that nobody will ever talk about ever in the history of the series that it's about. Like 1010 from Naruto, right? Yeah, completely. I don't even need to do the review on this one. I could just walk away. It has Conqueror's Haki in the title. Chopper fell down again. I don't even give a crap anymore. The chapter is just titled Conqueror's Haki, right? And, yeah, considering Conqueror's Haki has already been, like, a really important thing in One Piece, you know how many people can use Conqueror's Haki in this series? Not very many. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people! 15 people confirmed to use Conqueror's Haki. Actually, at the end of this chapter, we're going to find out number 16. So, yeah, this is a big one. Let's just go right into it. The cover page is putting eye drops into her, 3 eyes, and I mean, it's whatever. I will say, having a third eye on your forehead would be kind of annoying for that regard, especially around, like, the springtime, like, allergy season. Like, Tien Shinhan from Dragon Ball, I mean, he's got some problems with that. I mean, he's really powerful and everything, but those allergies, man, right in the middle of the forehead, right? Okay, anyway, so the chapter continues right where we left off last time. Like, literally, the last chapter ended with Big Mom being pushed off of Onigashima by a massive boulder by Law after that, like, cool combo attack. Zeus is in the insulating box. I called it a conducting box last time. No, it would have to have been an insulating box in order to keep electricity inside of it. Zoro was slicing up Prometheus, so he couldn't reform and go down and rescue Big Mom. And I'm not really sure what Napoleon would have been able to do in this situation, unless Napoleon can also grow wings. It's a hat that can become a sword, so growing wings and like a giant pillow to like cushion Big Mom's fall wouldn't really be that absurd. But at any rate, Killer was like fighting against Napoleon, and Napoleon was like running away like, I'm just a sword, man, I'm just a regular sword, I couldn't even save her if I wanted to, right? But Killer was just being kind of mean in that one particular instance. Anyway, Big Mom has fallen, and there's nothing that's stopping her, really. Kaido's there, and he just kind of looks over, and he's just like, oh, Lin, I gotta do everything myself around here. Zoro is still slicing up Prometheus. He's like just little tiny embers at this point. Still sentient, still aware of himself, okay? So, it's not like Zeus. Whenever Zeus discharged all that electricity, it turned him into that little tiny chibi form, and that's all he was. No, it's like you get the idea that if Zoro lets up his attack or his onslaught, even in the slightest, the fires and the embers of Prometheus are just gonna back together and then immediately go back down, because it's literally cutting fire, okay? So in this situation, Zoro's really having a rough time keeping it up because his injuries from the last time blocking the shot from the Yonko combo attack. Law even has a mention, and Law, last time I checked, was a doctor, so he would have a pretty good idea for this. He's like, my god, my medical opinion of this swordsman is he's probably broken every single bone in his body. I don't know how he can move, but oh wait, we're in a manga, right? It's like great. It's just like, if Zoro were to go to a doctor's office right after that and get an x-ray, it's like, wow, so every single bone in your body, 206 bones in the human body, according to Kimimaro from Naruto, because I learned most of my medical facts from anime. Like, that actually is a thing. That's actually a thing, right? I could be in school or in college, and I could have a whole class. I had multiple classes on, like, health and wellness throughout my college career that they made me take, and I don't remember much about that. But that one episode where Kimimaro was fighting against Rock Lee and Gaara, and he's like, the human body contains 206 bones. That stuff's in my brain until I'm dead, okay? That's how it's gonna go. So 206 bones in the human body. Wow, you broke every single one, and yet you can still move just through the sheer power of, I don't know, your muscles? Your muscles just, like, encroach on the cracks in your bones, and you're just moving through that? Medical science! I don't know. Law's the doctor. You ask him. So, suffice to say, yeah, Zoro's pretty banged up. Kaido has to step in here, and Luffy, by the way, we finally see him. Yeah, last chapter was the big thing where he got hit with that 3 worlds Ragnarok, boom, straight down, and we didn't see him after that. I looked through the whole chapter. Luffy did not appear after that attack connected, so I was like, all right, is he dead? I'm assuming not, because, you know, main character of the story, but you never know. He's on the ground. There's a giant crater from where the impact happened. And, yeah, he's pretty injured. He's unconscious right now. Kind of the same thing that happened the first time when he got a headshot from the Kanabo back at the beginning of the arc, you know, the Thunder Bagura. So he's like that. His eyes are all, like, whited out and everything, and he's, like, unconscious for the majority of this chapter. The majority of this chapter. At the very end, he wakes up and stuff happens. But that attack was able to knock him out straight away, and that's not something that happens very often in One Piece. And I think there might have been a few other times where Luffy got hit by an attack and he might have lost consciousness for like a brief second or so. Like he takes an attack and he's like, oh, and then he like regains consciousness before he hits the ground. I think that's happened before, but this knocked him out for like a good few minutes, I would say, at least. So at any rate, Kaido now notices that, all right, Big Mom's falling over the side of Muffin Mountain. Guess I gotta save her. Whatever. So he rushes to attack Zoro to get him away to Prometheus so Prometheus can go and rescue Big Mom, right? I would argue, could not Kaido just turn into a dragon himself and just go down to save Big Mom? That was an option that was on the table, but then I remembered, oh wait, yeah, Kaido probably doesn't really want to do that. So yeah, it's just like, all right, I'll beat away Zoro so freaking Prometheus can go save her, but I'm not doing anything beyond that, whatever. You know, if she falls in the ocean, she dies, I guess, whatever, who cares? You know, more poneglyphs for me, I guess. So anyway, he goes to rush after Zoro, and Zoro sees him coming. Law jumps in kind of in the middle and uses injection shot right on Kaido. So this is actually a really cool scene where Kaido is rushing at Zoro, and then almost as if Law is using the momentum of him rushing towards Zoro, he appears, uses room, uses shambles, appears right in the middle. So Kaido does not have time to slow down or anything. He's like rushing toward it. Law appears with his sword, with Kikoku just kind of like pointed right at him. So he just zip and then, oh crap, and so he can't. Things are just falling down all day today, aren't they? Well, whatever. It's very indicative of this chapter. It's a crazy chapter. At any rate, so he just points out Kikoku, and Kaido basically runs right into it, right into his neck. Injection shot. The really cool attack where that sniper scope has to appear. I'm not really sure. What does injection shot do? I'm not really sure what it does. It's a really cool sounding attack, and he used it against Opum. Oh my god! You know what? You know what? I'm not changing anything. No. We're just rolling with it. We're just going with it today. All right. So I'm not sure what injection shot does. I'm not sure if it's just like an attack similar to the Phoenix, where it just fires like an energy shot or like an aura or whatever you want to call it, or air pressure or whatever you want to do, and just fires it directly at the target. Since the name is injection shot, and since it's indicative of, like, you know, receiving a shot with a syringe, I'm thinking that maybe not necessarily, but if Law wanted to, he could maybe coat his sword with some sort of medical substance, some sort of drug or something, and he could inject people with his sword like a syringe. His power is literally the abilities of like a surgeon and a doctor, so I don't think that would be too absurd. Or rather, in this case, it's like using a syringe, like the needle, like piercing the enemy. Actually, if you had a syringe with like nothing but air in it, like that's a legitimate weapon. I mean, it was a weapon already, it was a needle, but you know, you get injected with nothing but air, that's gonna mess up. Like, watch the fight between that cat and freaking Kira from, you know, JoJo's Part 4, right? There you go. So maybe it's something like that, I'm not really sure. Or it could just be like a really fast, you know, piercing attack straight away. At any rate, it hits Kaido right in the neck, and you see a decent amount of blood splurt out. Now, the problem is, it doesn't take Kaido down, and Law is now right in his freaking warpath. And so Law busts out a new technique for his Opi no Mi, I just assumed, considering, you know, Punk Hazard and then all of Dressrosa, we'd kind of already saw all the techniques he was capable of. You know, he's got his room, shambles, tact, scan, a technique he doesn't really use very often, but scan. He's got the personality swap surgery. He's got the immortal surgery that he can only use once because, you know, he dies afterwards. He's got counter shock. He's got radio knife. He's got gamma knife. I just thought we saw everything, but no, he actually has another move, which is more of a defensive move, I would assume, and it's curtain, or antibacterial curtain, okay? And so I just like it. Like, one of the translations is curtain. The official translation is like antibacterial curtain. Going along with Law's names, most of them are just one word. I'm just going to go with curtain. And so this is like a medical, you know, curtain, like during you're in a hospital or something, you draw the curtain back or whatever when you're doing a surgery or an operation or something. So it makes sense. We don't get to see much of it. We just see Law activating the ability. So he takes his hand and says curtain, and then it looks like, you know, strands of light or like energy are like appearing, like he would draw the curtain back. I would imagine it would just be a shield, you know, adding to his defenses. You know, we've already seen a lot of combat-based abilities and support-based abilities with Law's Opi no Mi, so having a defensive-centered ability makes perfect sense to me. It can already do everything else. Why not? It's the best Devil Fruit. I mean, it really is. So he's about to draw the curtain back, but Kaido's like, hell no! Boom! And he just slams right through the curtain. I would imagine maybe the attack is stopped before Law has, like, the complete effect of it. Maybe if Law had a little bit more time on his hands here, and he, like, opened the curtain, maybe it would have provided a little bit more defense. But I think Kaido, with his massive amount of like raw power, would able to bust through any defense that he could throw up anyway. And Law probably knows that. Law knows that this isn't going to stop the attack 100%, but it would cushion it a little bit. Maybe that's the point of it. Maybe the point of it is not necessarily to block the attack altogether, but disperse it. You know, take the point at center of impact and disperse it throughout the curtain or something. Maybe that was the idea. So Law gets knocked away by this, Zoro gets knocked away by this, and then that gives Napoleon and Prometheus. I'm telling you what, like, Prometheus, he's a fireball. So even being diced up into like 100 or maybe even 1,000 different units of his body, it really takes no time at all for him just to whoosh back together, right? So he's all like separated and he just whooshes back together. Napoleon jumps on his back and then he just flies down to rescue Big Mom. Law is like beaten down, but he's still conscious, and he's like, you know what? I'd rather, you know, like, let them go and save her. If any of us die, that kind of defeats the purpose of the plan. You know, the whole point of this was us to, you know, beat down the Yonko and win. I'd rather not anybody die in the process. I can understand Law's reasoning here. He doesn't want anyone to die. He's a doctor after all. But at the same time, it's like, you know, maybe he could have stopped, you know, instead of going after Kaido, maybe he could have stopped Prometheus or something, or opened up a room. Because we've already established, using his room, he can't move Kaido and Big Mom, but he can move Big Mom's homies. So, you know, instead of using the injection shot, he could have just opened up a room and then, you know, could have moved, you know, Prometheus and Napoleon further back, you know, or something of that nature. But he chose to try to help Zoro, and that's kind of the thing that messed everything up. So Zoro's pretty mad at him, but Law's like, I don't want any of us to die. All right, that's like top priority right now, even more important than, you know, us winning against them. So at the same time, it's okay because Kid and Killer are like, well, our goal originally was to separate them, so don't worry, this is plenty. And so Kid and Killer then just rush off toward the edge of the island to go and face Big Mom on their own. And they have like a bunch of metal in tow. Like, Kid and Killer are running away, and there's just this giant, like, it's like a train. It's like huge amounts of just scrap metal and iron that are being carried off towards Kid's location with his magnet fruit, okay? So they're getting ready for a battle. Also, it makes a lot of sense that Kid and Killer would be the ones to face off against Big Mom in a I guess, a 2-on-1 fight, or I guess, well, now that Zeus is gone, it would be a 2-on-3 fight, because Big Mom's got Prometheus and Napoleon. But that would make sense, because, you know, Big Mom had a beef with Kid. Remember, it was mentioned back at Fishman Island, Kid sank a bunch of her ships. That was the reason Tamago was like, oh, we need the money from Fishman Island to kind of repair our fleet. So it looks like they didn't do just a trivial amount of damage. It looked like Kid, like, sunk probably quite a decent number of Big Mom's battleships, all right? He probably dealt a lot of of damage to their fleet. And so, you know, I'm sure they have a beef. Obviously, Kid has a beef with Shanks as well for the whole arm thing. We still don't know the whole story there. But I think it makes sense. And so you're splitting everybody up here, which kind of screws up my counter, because I thought it was going to be 5 against Kaido and Big Mom this entire time. Getting rid of Big Mom, I kind of assumed, but I didn't think that they were all going to split up at this point. But I guess it stands to reason. Like, Zeus is still immobilized. He's still in the box, and he doesn't get out in this chapter. And obviously, Big Mom has taken some damage. Kaido has taken some damage as well, as Luffy said last time. So it's like, okay, they're now down to a point where, you know, we can at least deal with them individually, or like at least Kid and Killer might be able to take down Big Mom by themselves. Zoro, Law, and Luffy might be able to take down Kaido by themselves with all the damage that, you know, he's already taken. But we'll see where that goes. And so now we cut down. I was actually very surprised by a few things here. So number one, they are not over the mainland yet. They're still over the sea. I thought that the, you know, Onigashima was pretty damn close to the flower capital because we saw the mountain in the distance. But keep in mind, Mount Fuji in One Piece, it's still a pretty big mountain, just like it is in real life, just a lot thinner in the manga. The peak is a lot more like, you know, like this. Well, at any rate, no, they're still over the ocean, so Big Mom would have fallen into the sea, and she was super close. She was maybe only like, I don't know, a few hundred feet above sea level, and then all of a sudden Prometheus swoops in and saves her, and Mom is like, Big Mom is praising him, and just like, oh, Prometheus, my precious child, thank you so much. And Napoleon's there too, and they just basically start, you know, berating Zeus for not being very useful. Just like, oh, Zeus, you know, he was useless ever since day one. All that stuff that happened to Totland, he left you for Nami and lived in her rod for like all these weeks or whatever. He's completely useless, Mama. And Big Mom's like, I agree, Mama. And then that's when Prometheus is like, hey, Mama, I have a request. And he puts on like the smirking face, like, I have an idea. And Big Mom's like, what is your idea? And so the very next scene, we cut away from them, but the very next scene is Kid and Killer arriving right at the edge of Onigashima. So they're looking down over the clouds, like the flame clouds that are keeping it afloat, and then the clouds above them, and I guess they're about to just jump down. Keep in mind, they are both devil fruit users now. Kid already had his magnet fruit, and Killer ate a smile. Now, he didn't get the power from the smile, but he still has the negative effects, so if they fall in the ocean, they're not going to do good either. Wow, Killer really got the short end of that stick, didn't he? Like, imagine if any of the other Straw Hats, like Frankie, ate a devil fruit, but it was one of the smiles, and so now he can't swim anymore, and he doesn't get anything else after that. That would really suck. Killer is probably, like, really pissed off right now. Like, all these magical fruits in the world! I could, you know, charge lightning into my Death Punisher blades, or I could dig underground, or I could summon monsters to attack my enemy, but no, I don't get any of that, and I still can't swim. This sucks! You know, anyway. They're about to jump down, I guess, when they notice the clouds overhead are doing some weird stuff, and Kid is even like, you know, what's with these clouds? Now, keep in mind, this was already chaotic. They're literally on top of a muffin mountain being supported by flame clouds, and there's already crazy amounts of dark clouds and thunder and stuff swirling over them because of Zeus and the whole fight that they were, you know, participating in. So for Kid to be like, all right, these clouds in particular, aside from the flame clouds and the thunder clouds and Zeus and just the general chaos of where we were fighting, these clouds in particular are acting a little bit weird. So, you know something's up. So, I'm assuming what Prometheus asked Big Mom was like, can you just make a better Zeus? You know, can you just make another homie that's like a thunderhead like Zeus out of thunder clouds, but this one is way more like obedient. And I'm sure Big Mom probably assumed at this point, like, yeah, that's probably a good idea considering everything that's happened and Zeus is captured. Now, she will have to take out part of her soul in order to do that, which may weaken her even more. Who knows? You know, I'm not really sure how much of her soul she took out to make Prometheus, Napoleon, and Zeus to begin with. I'm assuming it's not a great amount, or even if it was like an amount that was like substantial, she's still ridiculously strong enough on her own. You know, but I'm assuming it wasn't very much, because she said, you know, you think separating them from me would be enough to take me on? Maybe only like, I don't know, 2-3% for each one, and that just makes them strong enough on their own, whatever. At any rate, I'm assuming Big Mom's gonna make a new one. She's probably gonna call by a different name. name. Maybe Odin, you know, Odin or something like that. Or Thor, you know, maybe another name would be like how, like, it was Prometheus the fireball now, but when Mother Caramel made it way back during the flashback, it was Pandora. So similar, you know, homie design with like flames or thunderclouds, but different names. Probably something like that. Also, for anybody out there that's like, oh man, she was so close to falling in the water, just a few more seconds and boom, Big Mom would have been dead. Remember last time when this happened, guys, when she fell off the ship after King knocked the freaking Queen Mama Shanter over the falls and it hit the ground. Not the ground, it hit the sea. Big Mom, I think, you know, yeah, she doesn't have the ability to swim and she would sink, but the currents around Wano are so crazy anyway that she got carried to shore, you know, so she hit the water and she couldn't move, but then the currents were just... Now, if you were a normal human, that would probably, like, kill you in and of itself, you know, smashing against the rocks or whatever, like when Nami just kicked Eric over the side of the Mary back at Reverse Mountain in that filler arc. Oh my god, Eric was so dead there. But in the case with Big Mom, you know, her body's like an iron balloon, and this stuff has, like, nothing to do with her devil fruit power. She's just that strong and that endurance. So it's just like hitting the freaking ocean current. She's like, I can't move! Bam, 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 slamming against all the rocks. Eventually, she would have just washed ashore again. Maybe she would have had amnesia once again. Maybe would have just reset the whole thing. But I don't think she would have died even if she would have hit the water. Plus, even if we're not at the shore of Wano yet, Onigashima's got to get pretty close. So we're probably pretty near the shore anyway. So now, I don't know. I'm assuming Big Mom, now that she's saved, is going to head back up, I'm guessing. I thought she was going to be stuck on the ground and she wasn't going to participate in the rest of this battle. Maybe it's like they're near the shore and then Kid and Killer are going to jump down, and so Big Mom's going to head back up, and then Kid and Killer are going to stop her and then prevent her from heading back up to the island. And so their fight, Kid, Killer versus Big Mom, Prometheus, Napoleon, and whatever maybe new homie she's creating, will, you know, take place actually on mainland Wano, something of that nature. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. So yeah, that's that. We cut back over to the battlefield now. Luffy's still unconscious. Kaido kind of looks over at him and he's just like, whoa, yeah, same thing like last time. Freaking knocked his ass out. He's still glaring at me. Even when his eyes are like rolled back into his head, Luffy's still glaring right at Kaido, or Kaido like perceives it that way. Like he just won't give up, right? And so this is where we get... It's a trope. It's a cliche. I mean, this happens a lot in anime. But it's one of those cliches that's like, I don't even care. It happens so often. It's such a badass moment. It's so cool whenever it does happen. And the way that Zoro leads into this is magnificent, alright? So, it's just Zoro and Law now. Kid and Killer, they left, and Luffy's still knocked out. So it's like Law and Zoro. Like, wow, we didn't expect that to happen. But it's like, Law, he's off to the side. Zoro just takes up his sword. Like, which one am I picking up here? I don't know. Where's Enma? Where did Enma fall? Oh, okay, it's over here. Alright. So he picks up Enma, and he just takes it out. He looks at it, and he's like, alright. Trafalgar, this is gonna be my last attack. Alright, I am beat to shit right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure all my bones are broken. I'm just moving on willpower at this point. So this is gonna be the final anime, you know, ultimate high-octane attack that I'm gonna bust out on Kaido. I hope it works. I hope I can at least knock him over with it. It's gonna give everything I have, and I'm probably gonna pass out as soon as it's over. It's gonna look cool, so make sure to take out your Den Den Mushi and snap some pics, you know, because this is gonna be cool. But, yeah, if this doesn't work, you're kind of on your own, man. I don't know what to say. You know, it's really, he really kind of says that, where it's like, you know, we can't keep fighting him. We're going to get worn out. If we keep fighting him normally, I'm not going to have enough energy to do this. So I'm just going to do it now and then pass out after. If this doesn't knock him down, Luffy's unconscious, Kid and Killer are fighting Big Mom. It's all on you, dude. I have faith. I know you can do it. Law's like, okay, I'll give it my best. You know, that would have been that would have been interesting in and of itself, you know, like if it was going to be a one-on-one fight with Law, maybe if it only lasted a chapter, like, you know, at the end of this chapter, if Zoro passed out, Luffy was still unconscious, and Kid and Killer are gone, it would have been interesting for Law to, like, see him, like, hold his own against Kaido for, like, a chapter, or maybe even, like, half a chapter on his own, really displaying the full utility of the Oppi Oppi no Mi, right? Who knows? At any rate, so Zoro activates Ashura. The first time he's activated Ashura since the time skip. Last time he's... Keep in mind, I think he used it in Strong World. I think he used it in Movie 10. But aside from Movie 10 and non-canon appearances, he has only used Ashura twice, canonically, in this story. The first time was against Kaku, where he first displayed the power. He used a technique called Silver Mist to slice up Kaku's Rankyoku technique, and then he cut him down. And the second time was when he used Ashura Flash, when he used it against the PX4 at Sabaody. And that was the last time he's used it, all right? And I think, once again, he used it in Movie 10 during Strong World against the enemy there. But... first time since the time skip, let's see where this goes. So this is clearly Zoro's strongest move, even back during the time skip. I mean, this is obvious. I mean, literally, it multiplies his sword power by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. I know that much math, right? Wait. Yeah, and 3 times 3 is 9. I got this. I got it, all right? And so he looks at Kaido, and he's just like, hey, Kaido, that's my captain you got over there. If you want to kill him, you gotta kill me first. Not gonna actually do it, because I don't want to chip a tooth. And he's like, Ashura, dead man's farce. Or another translation is like the play of the dead man. It's a reference to an Edo play from that time period in Edo period Japan. But at any rate, it's basically Ashura Flash, the same technique he kind of used on the PX4, except he's utilizing Haki for all 9 of his blades. And also he has Enma, so that's an upgrade as well. So that's basically what I'm seeing in here. It's an absolutely glorious attack, where he goes into his Ashura and then just slashes Kaido from the front, and he puts everything he's got into it. Ashura, whoosh! And then the attack ends. And Kaido does the thing where he's like, must resist. Ugh, made it. Man, I'm gonna have to hit the bar after this tonight. Oh yeah. So he resists it. Zoro's on the other side of him. You know, he just blitzed past him, and the Ashura disengages. And he's like, damn it, did that not even knock you down? Like Zoro kind of has the implication of like, man, I knew that wasn't going to finish you off. I knew it wasn't going to knock you out. It wasn't going to kill you. But I thought I could at least knock you on your ass. I thought it would at least do that much. And Kaido just looks back over and he's like, oh, you did enough. This wound will be with me for the rest of my life. So implying the wound actually happened like right around this area. So Odin's scar was like down here in like this part, and then so this one's here. And Kaido implies like, yeah, this is gonna be a scar. So you did enough. And at the same time this happens, he's like, are you kidding me? Do you have Conqueror's Haki too? Emergency popcorn for exciting moments. This is Utz brand popcorn, not a sponsorship, but I used to eat this stuff all the time when I worked at Dollar Tree on my breaks. It's absolutely delicious. Yeah. Conqueror's Haki. Zoro. Roronoa Zoro. Pirate Hunter. Has Conqueror's Haki now. Yeah! Okay. I'm good. Okay. I would be more surprised by this if Oda did not already foreshadow this a few dozen chapters ago. I don't think it was a few dozen. It might have been just like a dozen. remember back when we were still in the festival hall and Zoro was there with Brook and everybody? And I think it was an attack from Big Mom or Kaido caused the whole area to shake. And then Brook had the joke after the shaking and everything, because this was right after, I remember the scene. This was after Zoro yelled at Queen. Like, Queen was like, you know, treating it like a big game with the Ice Oni virus, and Zoro looks right at him and just like, you think this is a game? And at the same time that happens, a massive earthquake occurs, and Brook is like, yo, do you have Conqueror Haki, Zoro? You're making the whole area shake. And Zoro's just like, okay, it's obviously not me. I don't have that. I felt like that was a big foreshadowing moment. I mean, I guess Oda could have just put it in there as a joke. But, you know, I felt that as definitely as foreshadowing. So, Zoro has Conquerors, like, for a while there, for a long time, I did not think he was going to get Conquerors. I don't think it was going to happen. But after thinking on it for a little while, and then the events of this arc, and, you know, I'm thinking, well, you know, Roger had Conqueror's Haki, Rayleigh had Conqueror's Haki, they were both on the same ship, you know, captain, vice captain, first mate, whatever you want to say. And so I was thinking of some other stuff, and he does want to be the greatest swordsman in the world. It's kind of hard to be the greatest swordsman in the world without having Conqueror's Haki. I feel like Mihawk probably has it. You know, it's like to be the king of anything and not have Conquerors. Like, that's the whole point of Conquerors, right? It just took him a little bit while longer to activate it or awaken to it than it did Luffy, which makes sense, but he still's got it, right? Okay, so there you go. Zoro now has Conqueror's Haki. I'm gonna put this popcorn down. All right. Although Zoro himself is unaware of this, he just kind of looks over at Kaido and is just like, what are you talking about? I didn't do any of that stuff. I don't even know what you mean by that. So this is very interesting because Luffy at least knew he had Conquerors, like Rayleigh told him, and he, you know, was confirmed to have it. And then he was able to train on Ruskaina, maybe not necessarily like with all the advanced forms of Haki, but he was able to get the gist of it, and he was able to train with something that he knew he had. Zoro did not know he had this until just now, just this moment is when he gets that news. So that means that when he was training with Mihawk, he didn't have Conquerors, and so he didn't awaken to it, right? And so it might have been like during this battle, he might have been the first awakening to what it was, right? Just like how Luffy first used his Conqueror's Haki, well, there was a few examples of this. He used Conquerors, I think the first time it was shown that he had it was when he was fighting against Duval's, like, giant boar, Motoboro, and he kind of, like, you know, like, looked at it, and it, like, was terrified. There might have been a few other examples of it before then, but I think that was the first example, and then he used it at, well, Impel Down, Marineford, he used it there, but then it was with Rayleigh that he was able to, like, train with it and know what he had. So Zoro now, Zoro's got an uphill battle, but this is important, because now he knows what this is, and maybe he can train with his swords, because we'll get to that in a second. So anyway, yeah, Kaido says it'll leave a scar. Law is about to jump in because Zoro's about to pass out. So Law's like, Zoro, no! And that's when Kaido just takes out his Kanabo, and he's like, man, you members of the worst generation, of the new generation, the worst new generation, man, you're just popping up all over the place with Conqueror's Haki, you know, screw all you. So he activates Thunder Bagara, and then boom! The shockwave from this attack not only strikes Law and knocks him away, it also strikes Zoro, makes him cough more blood up, and then, you know, knocks them away too. So it's kind of like a shockwave that just kind of like radiates outward, right? So Law's knocked away, Zoro's knocked away. I'm assuming Zoro lost consciousness. Law might have as well, but we don't really get this confirmed. So Kaido's there, and he's wheezing, and he's just like, ugh, what a pity. If you just joined me, we could have conquered the seas. Law with your Oppi no Mi. Zoro with your 9 swords and your Haki. And Luffy with your Conqueror's Haki. And the metal guy and the guy with the giant sonic swords, you know. You could have joined the Beast Pirates, man. That would have been so cool to work together with you. But, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. And then that's where the boss music cues up. You know, Kaido already had his boss music that was playing in the background, kind of like the boss music in like Skyrim or something, but then there's more boss music that layers over that boss music that starts happening in the background. This boss music is a little bit more goofy, but it's Luffy's boss music, okay? So Luffy, completely nonchalantly, just gets back up like a zombie. He's just like, knocked out for like 5 minutes or whatever, just like, oh, And he gets back up, and he's just like, Kaido, we would never work for you. Are you an idiot? We're with the samurai, through and through. We'll never work for you, right? So he turns around, And Kaido gets excited. He's like, oh, so you're awake again. All right, this next one's gonna send you flying. And so he rushes at Luffy to finish them off. And then Luffy kind of remembers Hyogoro and remembers his teaching, Ryuo at Udon and everything. And so this is where Luffy comes to the conclusion, wait a second, I get it. So he was using Ryuo up until this point with armament. That's what Ryuo is. It's just like the Wano term for advanced armament haki, channeling his armament to send it into the opponent. But that wasn't good enough, and Luffy even says, like, my armament alone is not enough to, like, pierce you or really do any damage of any significance. I think it does do damage, but not enough. But then, after getting hit with Kaido's mace for, like, the 5th time, you know, Luffy's built up immunity to this. Luffy gets up and he's like, you know, it's just like an impale down. The poison guy poisoned me a bunch of times. Now I'm immune to poison. You've hit me with that Kanabo so many times. I'm brain immune damage to Kanabo, Kaido. Yes! And so he gets back up and he's like, I understand now. You can not only coat things with armament, you can coat attacks and weapons with Conqueror's Haki too, can't you? And Kaido gets really excited over this. He starts laughing. He's like, ah, yes, you can! But it's only a handful of people in the world that can do that. And you're on death's door anyway, so you have no hope of pulling out of your ass at the last minute. Whoa! And then that's when Luffy jumps up. He kicks the Kanabo away without even touching it. You know, the Kanabo's here. Luffy's leg just boom, knocks it away with the shockwave alone. And then he lands, and then boom, punches Kaido right in the stomach. Also, not even coming in contact. Same thing when Roger and Whitebeard fought and their attacks weren't even touching each other. Same thing. Law even says the same thing in the background. He's like, their attacks aren't even touching. So I guess that confirms Law's not unconscious. Anyway, Zoro might be. Anyway, so Luffy boom, punches him right in the stomach, and then he flips up, it lands, and then boom, uppercut, Kaido with Conqueror's Haki, just boom! Yeah, now it drops Kaido right on his ass. So he falls, and then Luffy just kind of like, the only person still around is Law, so he's just like, hey Law, hey Traffy, you guys did a good job, you helped me out, you weakened him, take Zoro, get him down below. I got this. I'll take him down myself. Boom! End of chapter One Piece 1010 and a break next week. But hey, if you're gonna end out on a freaking scene, this is the scene you end out on. Okay, so, first off with the counter, do I count the attack when he knocked away the Kanabo? Because you're not technically, like, physically injuring Kaido, you were just kind of knocking away his Kanabo. Screw it, I'll include it on the counter. I don't even care. That was awesome. Alright. So basically, from what I can understand, Luffy did either two things, and I'm going to probably do a whole discussion about this tomorrow because this is opening up a whole other gate of stuff, okay? So what he was either doing was, I guess, using Conquerors with armament, because he was using Ryuo. Like, the mental image in his mind was what Hyogoro taught him about using Ryuo, letting the Haki flow from your fists, and that was armament. That was the whole point. It was armament Haki. So he was still doing that, but he was just layering Conquerors over it. That's a possibility. And the other possibility is it was just Conquerors, okay? And so he was just using the same mental exercise that Hyogoro taught him, except instead of using armament Haki, he used Conquerors. Let me know what you think down below about all this, and like I said, I'll do a discussion about this tomorrow probably, as like a post discussion. I will say this though, throughout the entire story so far, Oda has been kind of ambiguous on exactly the full nature of what Conqueror's Haki even does. We know some stuff it does, like we know you can exert like the evil eye, like the glare, and it can knock a bunch of people out that are like low willpower than you. We know it could do that. We know that when Luffy clashed with Chinjao and Doflamingo, it can fire off like black lightning and Katakuri as well. You saw that there a lot of times when characters are revealed to have Conqueror's Haki, Oda draws that like black lightning coming off of them. Same thing with armament. So actually, you know what? That might explain a lot of stuff. That might explain when Kaido was using his Thunder Bagura or when Katakuri was using his attacks, it wasn't just regular armament. He was layering Conquerors on the attack. Luffy maybe might have been doing it subconsciously as well, but this is where Luffy finally figures out, wait a second, I can use my Conqueror's Haki to layer stuff on too. And that creates a whole other idea. I was thinking like, alright,
when Zoro goes into his Ashura form, right? When Zoro goes into Ashura, 9-sword style, it's clearly not an illusion. Like, he has the ability to cut you 9 times. Like, it's an incredibly powerful technique. It's not just an illusion, right? Maybe you could say Zoro is just moving so fast in that form, he can slice you, like, it feels like 3 times as much as normal, right? But what if, and this would be crazy, but it would fit One Piece, what if utilizing Conqueror's Haki, and this is why it's so rare and something that not a lot of people get a chance to use, what if Conquerors just allows you to take your willpower or your spirit or your ambition or your aura or whatever you want to call it and basically just manifest it however you desire? So in the case with Zoro, he manifests it, like he's already had like a demonic appearance, like Zoro's already had like the evil eyes and everything like that. And Nami just fell down. Why not? Okay, so which Straw Hats are going to survive till the end of the story? We got Frankie, Robin, Zoro, Brook, Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp. Chopper, Jinbei, and Nami are all going to die. There you go. There's the perfect thing for you there. But anyway, we're almost done. So it's like, what if they can just manifest it however they want? Kind of like Nen in Hunter x Hunter, right? In Hunter x Hunter, you kind of have like your aura, which is like the building blocks of your ability, and then you can kind of arrange it in whatever way you want. Maybe it's something like that with Conquerors. Would that be OP? Absolutely. But it's only a few people that even have Conqueror's Haki to begin with, and then there's only a few percentage out of that group that could use power in that way. Like Zoro did, you know, maybe utilizing Conqueror's, you know, subconsciously back during Enies Lobby, and then Luffy here. Luffy is a lot more simple. Luffy doesn't need to have like a crazy, like, you know, 9-handed demon god behind him. All he needs to have is just, I just need to punch things really far, or like punch things that can't be punched, right? That's all Luffy needs to do, right? So he's charging up his Conquerors for that purpose, and now that he figured out the trick, it's one of those things that like Luffy just was having trouble, but now that he's just stepped back a little bit and he's gotten hit by Kaido so many times, he's just like, okay, I understand the trick. And has that ever happened to you? Has that ever happened to you where you're trying to figure out how something works and you're having a really rough time, but then when you get the rhythm of it down, once you've done it like a few times, like trial and error, eventually you get to the point where it's like, okay, I was failing, but now it's like, okay, I could do it now. I could do it again, do it again, do it again. You know, like you got the rhythm down and you can keep it up, right? Maybe it's something right there with Luffy, I would assume. Also, Luffy's gonna fight Kaido one-on-one right now, I'm assuming. That's where this is going, you know, we're like, Kaido versus Luffy this Sunday. So, I like I said, I was against Luffy fighting him one-on-one from the beginning. Like, if like Kaido was at max power against Luffy at max power, Luffy wasn't going to be able to win. But now we've had not only the Scabbards fight against Kaido, and you could say the Scabbards didn't weaken him that much. I feel like they did something. Even if you want to say the Scabbards only took Kaido down by like 5% or something, right? From like 100 to like 95, that's still something. When you're fighting against a giant duck dragon god who's also a fish, you take what you can get, right? So if it's like, oh, you could either start this fight at 100% or you start the fight at 95. Like, all right, we'll start the fight at 95. So the Scabbards maybe did a little bit of damage to Kaido, and then you had Zoro and Law and Kid and Killer helping out, launching all those other attacks against Kaido. Kaido, like, if you were going to give a percentage, where is he at right now? Where is he at? Like 70, 60%? You know, maybe that, maybe half, maybe they dropped him by half HP, you know? It's like that scene in freaking Breath of the Wild where you do all the things with the different beasts, and then you go to fight Calamity Ganon, and then the first thing that happens is a giant energy beam comes down and reduces his health by half right there. Boom, done. Okay, so now Luffy's also injured too. It's not like Kaido's at 50% and Luffy's at 100 or anything. Luffy's still pretty beaten down too, but he's got this new trick and he seems very confident. He's bleeding and he got knocked out, but he's like, wait a second. I know how this works now. So I think next chapter in 2 weeks, next chapter, Luffy, he's going to be like, all right, let's try to give this a whirl. Goes into gear 4th, because he was kind of kicking Kaido's butt without even going into any gear. All right, he was just kicking his butt just by channeling the Conquerors. Now, same thing with Armament. Conquerors probably has a limit, probably a lower limit than Haki with Armament Haki. So he probably can't keep this up for long. So if he's going to go, Luffy, I would just cut with the semantics and I would just go into gear 4th and launch a King Kong gun with Conquerors layered on it and just hope that that would do enough. right? Like, that's what I would go into, because he's already beaten up and bloody, so we'll see where he goes. But I think he's going to go either into Gear 3rd or Gear 4th next and try this Conqueror's thing out. Although, he might not be able to do this in Gear 4th, because he's already channeling so much armament to even maintain Gear 4th to begin with. Maybe adding Conquerors on top of that, that's just going to be too much that Luffy could handle. Or maybe if he could handle it when he's at 100%, he certainly can't handle it right now. I mean, that's a lot of Haki, or if he burns all that out, he's done, because if Law and Zoro leave, Killer and Kid are gone, he's by himself. So if he goes into Gear 4th and deflates again, there's nobody that can, like, you know, tag in for the fight, you know, unless, you know, Sanji or somebody else shows up. That could be what happens too. I mean, Sanji could show up and maybe help out Luffy or something. I'm not really sure how that would go, but it's possible. He's running off somewhere. So I love this chapter. Absolutely beautiful chapter. We got a final attack from Zoro against Kaido. Orochi's still alive, so Zoro could still have a slash on Orochi. We can have him lose a head, so that'd be fun. And Luffy learned a new trick. So yeah, like I said, we'll go into this more in future videos, but for right now, very solid chapter. I'm kind of stricken who to give the MVP to, because I want to give the MVP to Luffy. You know what? I'll give the MVP to Zoro, but I'll make the thumbnail Luffy. How about we do that? That seems fair, right, Barry? Okay, guys. All right, well, thanks for watching. This was an epic chapter, very chaotic chapter where just everything fell apart, but pretty cool also. So have a good one, everybody. Tekking, Barry, signing out.